Morning Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, the whole world. This is Morning at NTV. My name is Romeo Busiku. Yes, we've been here since 6:30 a.m. with Chris Igenyi. And right now, we'd like to talk about the forthcoming general election 2026. Yes, voting will be taking center stage on January 12th all the way to February 9th. What do we know about the campaigns? They are heated up. But we would like to talk about the likelihood of violence taking center stage owing to the fact that we did see that taking center stage within the NRM primaries. Will there be a likelihood of violence within this election? Can elections themselves bring about the change that we want to see? I do have Barnabas Tinkasimire, Buyaga West MP. He is one of the 29 rebel MPs who are against the removal of age limit. Remember age limit, Article 102B, that caused a lot of trouble. President Museveni was not supposed to run for the presidency beyond the age of 75. But then around 2018, MPs removed Article 102B. Tinkasimire is an NRM member of parliament, but he was against it and 29 other NRM MPs. President Museveni, around October 26, 2005, he was on a program called World New Program on Sky Television. He said he wouldn't be running beyond the mandated 75-year age. He said the constitution would be able to stop him. But then what we did see later on was the president saying he's still going to be running. We saw him come in 2021. You saw what happened within that election. So that's why we are here today, to make sense of these elections and whether they bring about the democracy that we yearn for every election cycle. Barnabas Tinkasimire, very good morning.
Good morning to you.
How are the big people of Buyaga West?
Good morning to our viewers, particularly the people of Buyaga West constituency, whom I have had the privilege to represent in Parliament for the last 19 years.
Indeed.
Yes.
President Yoweri Museveni, 2005, he said he wouldn't be running for office beyond the 75-year age that was mandated by the Constitution, but then later on we did see him and others to pretend the removal of age limit. You are against it?
Yeah, of course, I was...
Do you still share the same sentiments?
I was supporting the Constitution by then, because I am a lawyer, and any constitutional provision should be respected and upheld. And of course, I had taken an oath as a member of Parliament by then, and we went to consult the masses, particularly my constituents. I have 19 sub-counties where I went to every sub-county and did a consultation. 93.4% said a president, when he reaches 75 years, he should retire. I did not have any reason whatsoever to vote against the people whom I represent, or the views of the people whom I represent in Buyaga West. Indeed, as a member of Parliament who is on an NRM ticket, I wrote to the Chief Whip officially a letter indicating that I was going to vote in line with the views of the people of Buyaga West. I will not be voting alongside the NRM caucus. Of course, the NRM caucus had hashed a plan to vote for the removal of age limit, regardless of whether one consulted or not. We saw perforated consultations of where people would carry few individuals in the forest, like in, I can remember, like there is some member of Parliament from Tororo, he carried the people in the forest and started consulting them in the forest. Others did not even do a consultation. I remember receiving a call of being asked to vote for the age limit, for the removal of age limit. And when I stated the position of my constituents, this person who wanted my vote said, no, it's not about what your people said. It's about you as a member of Parliament. But I said I represent these people for God's sake. And the unfortunate bit, I received that call when I was in Israel on a prayer retreat. I said, I am deeply sorry. I am in Israel. I can't be in Israel, and you call me. You want to change my mind to betray my voters. I said, I will return to Parliament and vote according to what my voters stated, 93.4%.
Do you still maintain that same position that what was done was utterly wrong?
Of course, the constitution has consequently been changed. Even when you hold the view, you would hold the view, your view is not backed by law. Is not backed by law. And in these circumstances, we just say, since there is no law that prohibits anyone to stand at a particular age, so it be. Now you have to look at the type of candidates qualitatively.
Indeed. Who
have stood, who have shown interest in standing. In the current trend, the few I have seen, I've seen a young lady. She declared, is she from Kabale?
Around 24 years.
Yes.
Yes, she did win a flag. But those are very, very few young people. We wanted to talk about the effect of the age limit debate. The fact that we expected many young people to be running in 2026 by virtue of the fact that those who are below 35 had been allowed. But we've not seen that number of young people within this election taking part or taking advantage of the fact that they are allowed.
No, I think...
What is the problem?
The issue of removing age limit, that you want to allow the younger people to show or to present themselves as a president, was just a polly, was just hoodwinking the public.
So it wasn't for the youth?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Certainly it wasn't. Because you can see any election in this country is about how connected you are to the police and the army, how much money that you have on your account. These young men and women coming from the university, regardless of the good ideas they would have, they do not have the money, the power to muzzle as a presidential
You just
candidate.
made a statement, Barnabas Tinkasimire, that your ability to win an election is not hinged on your intelligence, but rather your connections to the military and money. Expound on that. The military and money.
In this country, politics has just been highly commercialized and highly militarized. You saw it in our recent party primaries. You can imagine an internal process which should be purely peaceful, devoid of the army, but you saw the presence, the heavy presence of the army. In my constituency, they were beating people from my line, beating. They would just come, hit them, and even cause chaos at a particular village. Then they order the returning officer, the village registrar, to count the lines, to count even one line, and make sure that they are tallied, they are filled in the tally sheets, and that's it. That's what happened. That's what happened. So I am talking a fact, and I am glad that I am known for talking the truth.
That is Hassan. That is Tinkasimire, Barnabas, Buyaga West. I'm also from the corner of my eye seeing Kaps Fungaaro, the FDC Vice President, Northern Region, and he's going to be indulging us on this conversation shortly after this break. Stick around. We do have more right here on this set. Welcome back to NTV, Morning at NTV with me, Romeo Busiku. It is the political season. Yes, indeed, we do have campaigns for the presidency that will be taking center stage October around 3rd. Yes, October 3rd. Yes, that's when the presidential candidates will be hitting the campaign trail. And we do have in studio right now Kaps Fungaaro, Deputy Vice President, that is the Deputy President for the FDC within the Northern Region. We also do have, that is Barnabas Tinkasimire, Buyaga West MP. He's one of the rebel MPs, 29 of them, who said no, do not remove Article 102B that allowed President Museveni to run in the 2021 general elections, a list of which he would have turned 75 and wouldn't have been able to run for that election. But then we are entering into 2026. The nomination fee for the presidency is still 20 million. We allowed a 35-year-old or a 34-year-old, 33, 20-year-old to run for the presidency, but then we maintained nomination. How many of my young people out there who are watching Morning at NTV have 20 million shillings to to go to the Electoral Commission right now and get that money and get nominated for the presidency. By the way, the EC is saying if you are interested, go to their offices right now, pick nomination forms personally. Don't send anyone. It has to be you there. Kaps Fungaaro, the removal of Article 102B, age limit. We are seeing maintenance of nomination fee at 20 million. Do you really think it was done in good faith for our people, the young ones?
Yeah, thank you very much, my dear brother. I salute my comrade, Barnabas Tinkasimire, and the viewers outside there, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I am Honorable Fungaaro Kaps Hassan, Deputy President of the FDC from Northern Uganda, MP Emeritus of Bongi constituency. I've been in Parliament there with my brother here for quite a good time. And on this matter of the removal of the presidential age limit, the presidential term limit, all those things which you see, amendment of the Constitution. President Museveni, you need to understand Museveni's way of doing politics and war. When he does one bad thing, he packages the bad thing with a good thing. They use to go into elections is a good thing. But the removal of the age limit was not about the use. It was about President Museveni, so that he would not be limited from going into politics and getting elected even beyond the age which was prescribed in the law and scientifically, which is allowed, which is good for someone to work effectively. So the age limit, people should understand, the removal of the age limit had nothing to do with the youth. It was just meant to pave way for President Museveni to continue being in power until maybe he dies. That's the thing.
So we are talking about a life presidency.
A life presidency in a very dishonest manner.
But you're going to indulge us more on that life presidency issue. Welcome back to Morning at NTV. My name is Romeo Busiku. I do have three intelligent guests here with me in studio. Barnabas Tinkasimire representing Buyaga West. Kaps Fungaaro Hassan, he is representing Northern Uganda. He is the Deputy President for the FDC in Northern Uganda. Charity Ahimbisibwe, you've heard that name reverberating in your ears for the last decade or so. She's been doing a lot of work in accountability, governance, civic education, and so forth. She is a political analyst. A very good morning, Charity. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Busiku, and a very good morning to my fellow panelists.
Before I get into these other panelists, you've just come in and then would like to pick your brains on this issue. We've seen a shrinking civic space in Uganda, at least since the enactment of the NGO Act in 2016. Around Nyakairima, rest in peace, before he actually tabled it. But then we saw government very tough on the Action Aid 2017, also Great Lakes Institute of Strategic Studies 2021. We see the shutdown of 54 NGOs. We are concerned. In other countries, think tanks, looked at models that could give comparative studies to the central government. But in Uganda here, we've seen a pushback. Government saying, we are not so sure whether it's for the good of this country. Explain to us why there was a pushback between government and the NGOs, the shrinking civic space.
So to contextualize what is happening in civil society, it is not just in Uganda, it's the world over. But government has been suspicious about civil society organizations in Uganda, claiming we are working with Western powers to pull down the government.
I see.
Which was not true and is not true, I can affirm.
Yes,
then government decided they wanted to co-opt civil society organizations, begin to give funding from central government to civil society organizations. Now what that does is it becomes difficult for civil society organizations to demand for accountability, because he who pays the piper calls the tune. How do you hold a government accountable that is going to pay you money to survive as an NGO?
What was government's reason for holding on to that money and saying that kaziyite mufe tuzibawe? What was their reasoning?
The reasoning was that the Western powers were sending the money with an agenda to disorganize government and to pull down government.
I see.
And cause the opposition to take over political power. So they decided they want the money to go through government to the civil society organizations, and they select which civil society organizations they can work with. Now, for purposes of remaining fair and balanced in the reports that we make, it becomes very difficult. Romeo, if you pay me, how do I criticize you? That is why people who are inside government find it very difficult to criticize their own government. They once in a while will come out and say a few things, but they must say them in a very balanced way. Now, civil society is meant to help society to see things from the citizens' perspective. That's why we had the Citizens Compact.
Indeed.
That is why we have the citizens' agenda. It still exists. Citizens still have an agenda. And the agenda is we need good leaders. If you have seen from the NRM primaries, the attrition rate has been very high. And we're going to see a higher one come...
Incumbents leaving.
Yes, come 2026. More people will have to leave.
Let's not focus on the incumbents, but those who are going to the voting jurisdictions or venues. The incumbents, I'd like to talk about the people.
The voter.
The voters themselves and the issues they are going through.
As a voter.
Not the incumbents.
Okay, but on the question of
the
civil
issue of
society,
civic education, do you think that is the reason why the voter doesn't know what to do when they go to the voting jurisdiction, asking for salt, money, and so forth?
Yeah, and
is it the symptom or the result of the pushback between government and the civil society? You haven't been doing your work in civic education?
Yeah, that is also one of the results.
I'm worried about the voter.
Yeah, that's also one of the results, because civic education is a requirement. Even voter education is a requirement. From 2001, every ruling from court has been clear. There must be voter education ahead of every election. Why? There is always a new voter. There is always a new voter who needs information. I'll tell you that in 2021, only 1.227 voters were able to access voting information or information to do with elections. And the voters were 18 million. Now, if you only had 1.227 accessing information, and you had 17.5 million voters,
Indeed,
all rounded off to 18 million voters, how many voters were able to go through voter education or civic education and were aware of what is happening? Now, that was 2021.
Yes.
If you look at now, because civil societies have been curtailed, Afrobarometer has not even produced the report they always produce. By now we would have data speaking to how many people have received information concerning the 2026 election.
Indeed.
But I can clearly tell you that even from the projections that we have made, we are not too far off from the spot of 2021, that the number could have increased by a very small magnitude.
Yes, indeed.
That receive information to do with voter education. Now, a new voter, I'll tell you from the previous elections that we know voters who go when they see Tinkasimire on the ballot paper, they like him so much, they just say, I love you. We have ballot papers that have that. A voter has seen a person...
Due to lack of civic education.
Yes,
and Charity Ahimbisibwe,
lack of voter education.
Is it deliberate? We are getting allegations. These are allegations from various people who say government simply wants to keep voters in the dark. That's why they are pushing back against civil society, you who actually open the eyes of the people. Have you gotten wind of this information? Is it true?
Yeah.
That is to keep the voters in the dark?
From the way you see it now, it's really to keep the voters from the dark. You see, one thing I want to say, Romeo, before I leave this station, is that the right to vote is sacrosanct. Also, free, fair, credible elections are sacrosanct. They may not be non-derogable, but they are sacrosanct, meaning they are revered, okay? Highly respected, like, you know, something you hold so holy. So if you look at the Constitution, and it is the one that makes free, fair, credible elections sacrosanct. What makes a free, fair, credible election? There must be free information. There must be information is power. For the voter to decide, they must be informed.
That is Charity Ahimbisibwe, political analyst. Thank you so much for that submission. I'd also like to indulge, that is my good man, Kaps Fungaaro, Deputy President for the FDC within the Northern region. She is talking about a pushback within the civil society that has been taking root at least since 2016 when the NGO Act was passed. And we've been seeing, she says, many of the electorates, the voters, not knowing what to do when they go to the line simply because they are in the dark. The pushback was not against the NGOs only, even the opposition. Kaps Fungaaro, we've seen a pushback as well against the opposition. We would also like to know why opposition has never build synergies as opposition, the FDC, NUP, to actually unseat President Museveni. We haven't seen this taking center stage. Instead, last week, the National Economic Empowerment Dialogue Party, Joseph Kabuleta's the principal, he was saying, you stole his slogan for the campaigns. Instead of saying unity, we are seeing a disintegration of the opposition. And you claim that President Museveni is on a life presidency mission. But it looks like the opposition is handing him the leeway. Whenever you fight within the coffers, you're handing him the leeway to serve indefinitely. Isn't it the opposition that is precipitating President Museveni's life presidency by the infighting and refusal to commit to act as a unit?
Yeah, thank you very much, my brother, and I thank my sister. I welcome you here.
Thank you, Kaps.
Three things. First of all, we are in an electoral process. As FDC, we are in the stage of the primary elections for selection of, for getting our candidates. The primary elections have been bad in many political parties. Ours, we have had also the bad experiences, but we have tried this time round to minimize them as much as possible. But still we have petitions. For the record, our electoral commission is in the east, in Mbale, handling petitions in Bulambuli and other areas.
But you did not register any violence within your primaries?
Within
like
our primaries, we at least managed, we did not register much of problems, but these complaints are there.
No rigging?
No rigging. At the presidential level, we had the tensions, we had bad experiences in the past where elections would result to tension, maybe even splits, and the FDC banks on 4 or 3 major ways of getting the candidate. One begins with the vetting. If someone declares to be a candidate at whatever level, the members of the party have to examine the values. You are talking about values.
Indeed.
The previous person who was from outside
voting values and
values.
money.
Who are you? What are your values? Do they align well with the values of the FDC? If yes, then they tick you, they put you to qualify to be a candidate. But if there are more people who have qualified for the same constituency, you now go to either consensus, you agree among yourself, someone steps down, or you go to the ultimate, the voting, that you let the voters sort out.
Take us to the gist of this conversation straight, Kaps Fungaaro.
Yes.
You do have 2 parties or factions within the FDC.
No.
You have 2 presidential candidates, am I wrong?
This is what I'm going to.
There's the Nandala Mafabi camp and there's the other camp.
This is what I'm...
also don't forget that Ant is coming from
and they also want to front one single candidate. Bring us up to speed.
And how about PFF?
That is the issue I'm handling here.
Yes, Kaps.
Because of electoral disagreements.
Actually 3.
Because of electoral disagreement. Let me make this point.
Yes.
We had splits. Honorable Betty Kamia formed the party out of the FDC. General Mugiza Mutu and others formed the ANT out of the FDC. And then PFF has gone out of the FDC. We are learning something. In this period round, we went with a lot of tension also. 2 strong people who were once close together. Just like when Besigye and Muntu were fighting against each other in the electoral race, Amuriat, Nandala, Besigye were in the same camp. They split. Now again, Amuriat and Nandala went to compete against each other. Our people, ordinary people and elders, so I said, you people, we thought you were the same. Are you not heading to the same end like the other cases? Why don't you talk? Why don't you talk? Throughout the places where campaigns were organized, this was the message. And finally, people came to that point of consensus building. Elders across the country sat down and told people, talk to one another. We would like you.
Don't fight.
Don't fight. So the good news is that they talked, and the one person stepped down. Honorable Engineer Amori stepped down in favor of Nandal Mafabi, and the Electoral Commission declared Nandal Mafabi as the presidential flag bearer of the FDC. We are now going to officially unveil the candidate, presidential flag bearer of the FDC, through the National Council, which is the second highest organ of the party after the...
Are you reaching out to the People's Front for Freedom, PFF, your former brothers and sisters,
so
to unite against
on the 13th, which is tomorrow next, many people are invited, including political parties like PFF, all political parties. The fight between us has ended, especially those parties that came out of FDC.
Yes, indeed.
The point of disagreement has ended. We are now different political parties. We can cooperate with one another at the level of new organizations. That's why you see ANT and PFF are working together. And yet these were people who fought against each other. If ANT is considering giving a person to be a flag bearer in a joint arrangement between ANT and PFF, what will prevent the FDC from working with other political parties?
What is preventing you, sir?
Nothing.
Because we do have campaigns that are coming.
It is wrong to project FDC as a party that does not want to cooperate with others. We can cooperate with the other people, and we have interacted.
Is it a possibility in this election to front one candidate?
It is possible. But the only thing is, arrangements have to be made and people have to talk. Come and listen to us. We are going to give the world the person we have and the manifesto we have on Wednesday.
Thank you so much.
Which is after tomorrow. Then on the issue of the space, which is shrinking for civil society, it is space shrunk against oversight institutions. Civil society, the press, and the opposition. These are institutions that do the same role. We have a convergence, a point of convergence in terms of oversight, checks and balances.
We suffered that branch in Kawempe North.
And the government does not want this civil society, this press, this opposition oversight institutions, including even inside the NRM government. If you are critical, if you provide checks and balances, like my brother here, they label you as a rebel MPs, they push you towards the opposition, towards the enemies of the state, of government. That's why now, civil society here, they are considered as working with the enemies of Uganda, funded by the enemies of Uganda. Just the issue is, don't do oversight on us. President Museveni and his group, they want freelance operation. It still, without checks and balances, nobody should say anything about that. That's where the problem is.
Kaps Fungaaro, the FDC Deputy President for Northern Uganda. Let me also bring in Barnabas Tinkasimire. He had some very compelling pointers when we did take a break. He was telling me that it's impossible to separate money, militarism, and so forth in this general election. Barnabas Tinkasimire, how do we avoid violence that we saw in the NRM primaries as we get into these general elections? How do we avoid what happened? The rigging, the militarism, the abductions, the miming, and of course you can also comment on the shrinking civic space.
Before I get to that point, I want to state, particularly in the comment by my fellow panelists, I want to agree with them that there is a reduced space and it is intentional. President Museveni, when he came into power, there was a vibrant cooperative society which was largely in the hands of the citizens. But the biggest problem which was with these cooperative societies, they were being led by UPC supporters. He realized that he needed to close that gap. That's why you saw the cooperative movement dying, even their bank closed, everything to do with the civil society closing. Now, maybe he thought that would be the end of citizen participation. Citizens started forming NGOs, organizations. He thought he can reduce the space by creating a body to register them, by asking RDCs, ISOs, what to recommend them for registration. This did not work. Did not work.
PISOs, DISOs.
It reaches a time when they started bringing up those issues, particularly evidence that would pin him when he least expected. That was very dangerous. And now he chose get out of the way. Get out of the way. And indeed, the Ugandans, I want to tell you that was a selfish act. I am NRM. That was a selfish act because they were bringing the supporters of the NGOs. We are bringing in a lot of money that was building this economy. Building this economy. They were employing very many people.
Yeah.
And now everyone is hushed to look for the job in government.
True.
The NGOs are not there. And even the critical aspects they were providing, the services, they are not there.
The data is also, we are struggling with data.
They are not there. And this is where we are. But now we are going in another cycle of elections.
Without observers locally.
Which is largely going to be very, very dangerous because as you said, or as I said, what I have seen, money and military. Of course now the army has literally become the state. It's no longer an instrument of power over the state, but it has become a state itself. That for you to win the next election, you must have alongside yourself the army and the police supporting you. Excessive money. What we are seeing on the ground, we can't measure that money. The money is coming from the state, being given as much as you are seeing the attrition. The attrition is against those who feel we should stand with the ordinary person, stand with the ordinary person. The attrition is against all the members of parliament. You know, my experience in the House, a member of parliament who was, I would say, irrelevant to the needs of the ordinary person. In the next term, in most cases, he becomes a bit stronger and would want to stand with the ordinary person. Because it's very difficult for you to say you are going to be a member of parliament, you are seeing bad roads in your constituency for 5 years, and then again you win an election, you still want to see the bad roads. No, you will stand up. This regime does not want any member of parliament to return. It's in very rare circumstances, unless you are going to be that fool who will just clap hands full time. Everything is okay. Whatever proposal they bring, bogus as it is, you say it is okay. Carry on, carry on, carry on, carry on. Unless you are going to be that type of a member of parliament, that's when you will receive excessive support of money and excessive support of military and police to support you.
Barnabas Tinkasimire, since you were already in the August House, we would like to know if there was some effort from you and the other rebel MPs to actually put some kind of legislation, some kind of debate to have the Attorney General come to the August House to fast track the implementation of the Supreme Court ruling between Mbabazi and President Yoweri Museveni.
We actually made...
You were supposed to look for the Attorney General.
We actually made a bill which was presented through Honorable Nwagaba.
Indeed.
For constitutional reforms. A number of them. And it was frustrated. It will never see the light of the day. It moved from the last parliament, and even in this new parliament, it was presented, but it will never see the light of the day. It will never be debated, because our major proposal was we wanted a system where we would have a president and a deputy president. All of them being running mates. Not a person appointed. we wanted to see a time when the president, during the presidential elections, the incumbent is restricted in like control of the army, control of police. We wanted to see a constitution providing for an independent electoral commission where the president is not the one appointing. Is not the one appointing, but we see a body being created out of a competition that is transparent and agreeable by all parties, or to have the chairman and its members. We wanted to see a judiciary. Yes. That is also appointed in the same way. Because if you are going to have a judiciary that is appointed by the head of state, indeed, as it is today, it becomes very difficult. This is why you see a very small thing, a very small thing like granting bail to Dr. Kizza Besigye, as if he's going to run away from this country. Dr. Kizza Besigye brought himself from South Africa. He knew he was going to be arrested.
There are people who believe he didn't know he was going to be arrested because multi-party democracy had just returned.
He brought
so for him, he
from
thought,
South Africa.
Since multi-party democracy had been instituted in 2005, they may not arrest him.
Regardless of the torture, regardless of the number of arrests, he has not fled this country.
So Barnabas Tinkasimire, recommendations
now he
made by
is here incarcerated for a very long period of time. He's a senior citizen, for God's sake. A senior, anyone who says Dr. Kizza Besigye is incognito in the politics of this country, you are running away from reality. He is incarcerated. He cannot be granted bail.
Well, they claim he's been on remand for 162 days, not the mandatory 180 days. So they are still counting 2 more weeks, and then they'll be calling for that bail. But do you think,
remember, he has been,
in light of the absence of the recommendations,
produced.
Indeed, in light of the absence of these recommendations, we wanted to know how can we ensure that violence doesn't take center stage in this election, in light of the absence of the Supreme Court recommendations?
If we are talking about a judiciary that is not ready to stand up, the military that is perpetuating the violence, the police, where are you going to report? If somebody will come and smash your car, cut you with the pangas, and you go to report, they look at you. I was abducted on 28th of June. 28th of June. My wife ran to police, police. Even after I was released from captivity, I went and made a statement. Go and ask, you Mawulire people, go and ask what is going on with this file that the wife of Honorable Tinkasimire reported here of the abduction of his husband. Have you gotten any culprit? I am sure that marked the end. These policemen are not interested in anything to do that. Even my lawyer asked for video, the CCTV footage officially to go to the Constitutional Court to fight for my rights. For enforcement of my rights. Up to this time, they have not given him.
Who is watching Morning at NTV is wondering, now what is the future of rebel MPs such as yourself?
No, it becomes very difficult.
If within the party you're being abducted, of course I'm going to go to you, Kaps Fungaaro. If he's being abducted, then what is going to happen to the other opposition people? Now you internally, if you're being abducted by your own,
this is what Honorable
the dissenting
Kaps,
voices, how are you going to proceed working with the party that is suspicious of you?
This is what Kaps was telling you, that other than stifling opposition, other than stifling the civil society, they even stifling a debate within the political party, because we were the only ones who would raise. For instance, one of the issues that we originally disagreed on was the issue of the oil bill. Our position was internally as the NRM MPs that oil should be owned by, should be controlled by authority, the oil authority, not the minister, not the minister. Because we were suspicious, the minister would do certain things, corrupt, and they would run away with the oil. Up to today, ask any Ugandan whether he knows much about the oil. We only see trucks carrying waste products. We don't know where the waste products end or where they put. We saw adverts trying to advertise for oil. We don't know what oil they were advertising, where they got it from, where they got it from. Then the other issue was about the health budget. We had agreed as a country that we need to set up a robust health system at the sub-county level, because our voters, many of them can walk to the sub-county and get treated.
The viewer is wondering that with all these frustrations, why is it that Barnabas Tinkasimire has never crossed to the opposition?
No. We thought
why with all these dissenting voices, you stay within the party?
We
would like to know
one
why.
day we would have our way, but you can see they are waiting for us at election time and they hash us out using the military. This is going too far.
Why hasn't the opposition ever been favorable to you, Barnabas Tinkasimire, as an option?
We have had a problem with them. We sit with them in the house. You look for them. You are voting on a critical matter. They are taking money. I cannot be such type of an opposition.
So you see,
Barnabas Tinkasimire, go ahead, Charity.
No. I want to submit.
On behalf of the opposition.
I know you will. You will rebut.
Yes.
You will rebut. Why do you call me to be a type of opposition like Honorable Nobati Mao? Why would you invite me?
Kaps Fungaaro, pitch in.
Nobati Mao heads a political party where my father belonged.
yeah, but you see, this whole infiltration of credible leaders, the fact that Ugandans cannot get credible leaders, people who have a thrust or people who have principle, because these are just basic things, are people principled. We have seen that house becoming a house of traders. They trade on a daily basis, and they trade the lives of Ugandans.
Even the opposition pocketed that 100 million.
But you've just heard for yourself. Barnabas has told you that they traded. They did. We saw Nupia go off with Honorable Mpuga on the issue of Ani Aria, who ate, and up to now.
To support what Doctor is raising, when we refused that the health budget, government must remove money from the welfare, and because we had gotten it, must remove money from welfare and entertainment and provide for the health care system. Do you know what they did? They collected NRM MPs. They took them here in Nakasero.
We remember.
Took them in Nakasero. Whatever they agreed, they came back. I will never forget this. They found us in the members' lounge. They just showed us 3 members of parliament, and you know they were not telling us lies, showed us a pack of 20,000 notes. That's 2 million.
They had already been paid.
That is transport. They had been given to walk from parliament to go to Nakasero.
Let's have Kaps Fungaaro defend the opposition.
And when they returned to vote,
give me time.
That was a different story.
Let's give him a chance.
And let me
Kaps
give me
Fungaaro,
time to speak about this.
The opposition.
First of all, the word dissent, political dissent, is where we should anchor our understanding of what the opposition is supposed to be. The opposition is not a person permanently fixed there, that this is the person, therefore this is the opposition. The opposition is about views, is about principles of political dissent. What President Museveni has killed is dissent, even inside the NRM.
But
the dissent,
he would have been fired.
And he's crying here. You think he likes being there? He's not enjoying, he's not doing things like the way he should have done.
Go ahead.
Now,
indeed, I almost lost my life.
Indeed.
Now, look at this. In the opposition, there are people of principles. There are people who are consistent. People like me, you cannot say everybody in the opposition is a sellout.
That is true.
Indeed.
I entered politics from my early age as a youth, as a student, from school. I was in St. Mary's College, Kisubi here, for my A-levels. I came from St. Joseph's College, Ombachi, where I had my O-level. I came from Obongi, where I had my primary to Ombachi, and then to Kisubi. As I was moving across the country, I saw disparity, economic disparity, development. I started asking questions. Why this? And when I joined politics, I've remained up to today. So the opposition is not all that the rubbish you talk about. There are people who are growing up. There are people who are consistent like me, so you have trust in us. The question we have...
You cannot hear the FDC.
Listen to me.
Let him finish. I want to get his point. There's that point. Kaps, yes. I want to make sense of that.
The problem we have here is this. There are people who see wrong. But instead of coming up to say wrong is wrong, they say wrong is right. They are in the civil society organizations.
Yes.
They are in the academia.
Yes.
They are in the army. They are in the police. They are in the NRM. So, who do you expect to build a credible opposition that you are looking for? If the intellectuals in the universities, like Makerere now, which used to be a vibrant institution, critical, capable of generating a debate on the issues, has been now.
So the way things are, opposition doesn't have what it takes to take on Museveni in this election.
To have
the way things
opposition you want, people must be honest about themselves. Even up to the army. The test is now going to the army and the police. You mean you are the people who cannot see wrong? You are the people who have lost your conscience completely? You don't know the difference between right and wrong? You police, and I believe the young people in the police, in the army, who know
Kaps
the difference
Fungaaro,
between
thank
right
you so
and
much.
wrong. So I would like to call upon all of you to trust the opposition, to trust the FDC. Today, we have gone through a process of refining ourselves. If you learn from books, your knowledge is small.
You'd have to learn from the people.
If you learn from mistakes, your own mistakes, you have more knowledge than what is taught to you by a professor in the university.
Indeed.
So FDC is now the opposition political party that has learned and learned and learned from
its mistakes.
Beginning from the time of formation. We had people who came from NRM, like the Dr. Bessages. We had people who came from DP, like the Mugisa, not Mugisa Muntu, but
the time he's first spent, Charity hasn't given us a
I would like
submission.
to conclude on this matter by saying that we are still on course. We have candidates across the board at all levels, at parliamentary level, LC5, LC3 in northern Uganda at all corners. So have confidence in us. Lastly on this, we said it here, I said it here on this platform, that there are places in Uganda where actually voting doesn't exist. Western Uganda is one of these places. I was told in Kiruhura, Kazo, Rwampara, Mbarara, and in Tungam that people cried that you people in northern Uganda, you are better, at least you vote for us, we don't vote. The cry of people from the same area where Museveni comes.
Charity Ahimbisibwe,
the bullying, the beating, the
we
shooting,
are entering an election cycle.
We should all open our eyes and join the opposition.
Thank you so much. We're entering an election cycle without local observers that we had in 2021, the shrinking civic space. Let's talk about the consequences of this on this election, not having the eyes and ears that we had before.
So it is unfortunate to go to an election without eyes and ears. If you saw what happened with NRM when they finished their primaries, they had petitions. How many petitions? Over 400 petitions. Now the petitioners were being asked to produce evidence of their own. They were being asked, they were being told that he who alleges must prove. But it is true, me, I'm alleging, I must prove, but I must pick the information from somewhere. Observers do provide information to both the Electoral Commission, to the participants of the election, but also to the government. So for an observer, ideally the issue is being objective. You sit to improve your democracy, reviving Uganda's democracy beyond 2026. So how are we going to revive a democracy without information? How are we going to revive a democracy without following through what has been happening in the electoral process? For example, the change in the roadmap, or over changing of the roadmap. That is a very wrong thing to happen at this point in time, because the roadmap is supposed to be a consistent document. It is a collaboration between all the stakeholders in the electoral process. Changing it without the collaboration from other stakeholders means we lose track of the key milestones that were in that process.
Indeed.
But by now, observers would have come out to point out what it has done so far, especially in the non-unionized workers election and in the youth MP elections, which are going to happen. We have National Council youth elections happening at the end of this month.
Indeed.
How many young people know? In 2021, only 0.36% of the youth in Uganda, whom we say are 74%, participated in the youth election.
Charity.
To have that statistic required that an observer was following the numbers, putting them together, analyzing and putting out reports in real time.
A very diversified conversation on the election that is forthcoming. Thank you so much to my three panelists. That is Barnabas Tinkasimire, Buyaga West, Kaps Fungaaro Hassan, that is the Deputy President for the FDC Northern Uganda. Thank you so much for coming through. It was heated, but he stayed calm. I loved it. Charity Ahimbisibwe came in with a wealth of information on voter and civic education. Thank you so much for putting things in perspective.
Thank you.
And to you, the viewer, always waking up with us right here on Morning at NTV. You're doing an astronomical job. My name is Romeo Busiku. We return on Tuesday, same time, 6:30 a.m. I'll be on NTV at 1 p.m. See you later. Good morning.